Hey! So, in today's video, I wanted to talk about every movie that I've ever rated half a star, which is the lowest rating you can give to a movie on Letterboxd, and I've given that rating out 21 times. So, we're gonna talk about the 21 worst movies ever, in my opinion, at least the ones that I've seen. And yeah, I am still currently going through a heat wave, so if I am visibly melting through this video, or if you hear a fan in the background, just know that that wasn't intentional. Starting off, the first movie is A Known Quantity, and that is the 2025 version of War of the Worlds. You've heard of it, you've seen every YouTuber on this platform clown on it, but I've also watched it and I gave it a half a star because it's really terrible. I mean, it's hilarious in the way it's just so goddamn terrible, but I still didn't really think of it as that redeeming for the movie, even if it was kind of entertaining in how terrible it was. And yeah, I mean, it's also like propaganda for Amazon, which I don't really care for, so no, I didn't like this at all. Next up is Kinda Pregnant, the Amy Schumer comedy, also from 2025. I don't think Amy Schumer is funny, and if you didn't know, this movie is just about her basically pretending to be pregnant by running around with this fake belly, and the hilarity that ensues. I absolutely hate Amy Schumer's comedy. I absolutely dislike Amy Schumer as a person, but I still decided to watch this because I was bored and I immediately regretted it because that movie is awful. I don't think the comedy is good because Amy Schumer's comedy is never good. And yeah, watch breakdowns of it on YouTube if you want to, but like, this movie is not worth watching in the slightest. Then we have Netflix's adaptation of Uglies from 2024. This is this dystopian movie where everyone is basically born ugly, but on, I think, their 16th birthday or something, they basically get this plastic surgery transformation into like this beautiful person that basically just looks if you had like a very weird Snapchat filter put on your face, and then you get to live in this like beautiful city where all the people are like rich and have high tech and not in the slum where you were born. And it's basically has this message about, oh my god, it's like not that great for people all to be like uniformly beautiful. Again, I think these people look weird, which is supposed to be the point, but also like, and it's just a really weird and generic dystopian movie. I haven't read the books that it's based on. I have heard that they're like not great either looking back at it, but obviously I don't really have any game in that. But the movie was terrible. And also it's a Joey King movie and I dislike Joey King. So yeah, I disliked it on all fronts and I also gave it half a star. Then we have the Addams Family 2. No, not the classic from the 1990s, but the animated one. I already disliked the first movie, but I really just hated the second movie. And while I actually think these movies are fine, if you're into like the Minions side of animated comedy movies, I just really hated it. It kind of really devolved into a shit show, especially at the end, because I remembered like somebody just transforming into a monster or something, and it just really going all wackadoodle, and I kind of hated that because the Addams Family as like dark comedies were always so funny, and these two movies, but especially this the second one, just completely abandoned that, and I hate that. And when Wednesday is a better adaptation of the Addams Family concept than this movie, then it should really say something about the quality, because I don't like Wednesday either. And yeah, I give this movie half a star. Next we have Army of the Dead from Zack Snyder, which is one of his Netflix productions like Rebel Moon, which surprisingly is not on this list. I remember hating that, but okay, it's not in here. I definitely don't remember why I hated this so much. I don't remember watching this movie at all. But it's basically about these people. It's this squad of like mercenaries that go into zombie-infested Las Vegas to basically rob a casino, I think. And yeah, I do not remember watching this, but apparently I hated it. So that doesn't really sound great. Next up is the movie adaptation of I'm Thinking of Ending Things. I am not surprised that this ended up on this list because I disliked the book by Ian Reid also, but I also heard that even the people who like the book also don't like this movie. It's about this couple who go to visit the man's parents, and their girlfriend constantly thinks about wanting to break up with him, and there's weird shenanigans that ensue. But I just didn't care for it. It's too weird for me, which I don't often say because I technically really like weird stuff, but when I just don't really know what's going on anymore and what's real and what's not real, and again, this I have watched like a long time ago, so maybe it would make sense on a rewatch, but I just really disliked it back then. Next up is After We Collide, and I can also really put this in with the other movie in this franchise on this list, which is the original After, because yeah, it's the sequel, and I hated both of them. I didn't watch any more of the movies, but these are just very dysfunctional romances, if you can call them that. And I have watched recaps of the books, and when the movies came out, I was like, okay, why not? And I watched the first two and absolutely hated them. I can't stand Hardin as a character, and the girl, I already forgot her name, is just too stupid to live, honestly. Yeah, these two people kind of deserve each other, but also don't, because this guy is horrible and nobody deserves him. But yeah, generally, why were these successful? I don't know. Maybe because the books were. And I still don't get why Harry Styles didn't sue the woman who wrote them, because if somebody portrayed me in that way, then what the hell? But yeah, definitely half a star worth. Then we have The Wrong Missy, which is this comedy from Adam Sandler's production company, but Adam Sandler is actually not in it. And don't get me wrong, there is Adam Sandler movies on this list because I can't stand the guy. But yeah, first we get to this one. It's basically about this guy who goes on a date with this unhinged woman, and then he meets this other woman who he really likes, but he ends up confusing their phone numbers. So when he needs a date for a company retreat, he ends up calling the unhinged woman and takes her with him on that company retreat. And yeah, I just don't like this brand of comedy. Like Adam Sandler and Amy Schumer, for me, fall into the same bucket that I just can't stand. I don't really like a lot of comedy movies, but especially these ones, I just absolutely dislike. I just hated all the humor at Missy's expense and all the humor in this movie in general. Yeah, I can't say anything more. And maybe it's for somebody, but I really couldn't stand it. And then we have another known classic in the bad movie genre, which is 365 Days. Everybody has watched it, and I did too. I was actually a little late to the party because when I watched it, everybody else had already seen it and said how bad it was. But also, I have heard a lot of people like it for how sexy it is, but I didn't think so. I mean, it's basically about this woman who gets kidnapped by a mafia boss, and he has 365 days to make her fall in love with him. That's their agreement before he sets her free, which is stupid and Stockholm syndrome. And I do think that Michelle Morone is hot, but that isn't really saving anything for me at this point. And yeah, I hated that movie. I do distinctly remember being drunk while watching it, so I don't think if that influenced my opinion, but maybe that would have probably influenced my opinion for the better, and it didn't, so it's most likely terrible. Then we get to the first appearance of Adam Sandler on this list, which is Sandy Wexler. I think this movie is about this guy who is basically a talent manager, and he's really like a hack at it, but he also like is this lovable guy, and like people still like him or something. I don't remember. I watched this a long time ago, but Adam Sandler in most of his appearances for me is just insufferable. And while there's probably like only 3 movies on this list, this one I hated really so much. I couldn't stand the character he played, and also this movie like wasn't funny. Even if it tried to do the like dumb humor thing that most of his movies do, it just completely failed at it here. It didn't like even get an ironic laugh out of me. So yeah, this was a total failure, and I disliked that. And then we have Meet the Blacks. So this one is a movie I have never heard anybody talk about. So maybe it's actually like generally liked, but when I watched it, I absolutely hated it. I don't even know why I like got to watching this movie, because again, I have never heard of it before. But this is basically this Purge ripoff where this family moves into this house, and then there's the Purge going on, which why would you like even do that? Like just watch the Purge at this point. Like it's literally nothing different. And this is also a comedy. I mean, again, comedy is a very, very common genre on this list, but yeah, it fails totally at it. And I have looked up other reviews before I filmed this just to see what other people think, and apparently they don't like it either, so I feel kind of justified. But yeah, this movie was really weird. I didn't like it at all. Adam Sandler strikes again, this time with a Netflix movie in The Ridiculous Six. I think this one is one of his like all-time most hated movies. I think everyone who watches his movies hates that one, but this one is just, it has gross out humor at its worst. And the fact that Taylor Lautner in this, I know that he doesn't pick his projects well, and like even Twilight is not a good movie, but at least he's hot in Twilight. Here, he just plays this weird hillbilly, and if you didn't know, this movie is basically about Adam Sandler, and he wants to find his dad, but on the search for his dad, he finds a bunch of other children that were also from his dad, and it's in the Wild West. And ugh, it just so this movie was gross. I can't say it any other way, and yeah, absolutely terrible. I disliked it like completely. And another Adam Sandler appearance is Pixels. Yeah, Pixels is probably just on here because at the moment I watched this, I was probably pretty angry. A lot of these are probably also like based on feelings because I always rate things based on feelings. So if you catch me on a bad day, I can't just give you a movie half a star. And yeah, Pixels is a movie for gamers, but I don't think anybody who is under the age of 50 has ever actually actively played any of these games or has like fond memories of them because they are all like really old. It's like all about Pac-Man and the original arcade Donkey Kong, as well as Space Invaders, I think. Like, it's not really what it appears to be, and I just didn't like it. I mean, it doesn't really make sense. Like, these aliens, like, oh my god, they're video game characters from the 80s, and like they're coming down, and now these pro gamers, which are also just like washed up dudes in their like 40s, now have to defeat them. Like, no, no, just no. Next up is the remake of Poltergeist. I think it's from 2015. Yeah, I absolutely hated this one. I have never even seen the original Poltergeist because it never seems to be available on any streaming service I have. But I definitely wanted to, and when I saw this remake, I was like, yeah, I know it doesn't have a good reputation, but like, who cares? If you didn't know, it's basically about this family moving into this house, and there's some evil entity in this house. I mean, the original is a classic. I still haven't seen it, but like, this one was so bad, okay? I absolutely hated every performance in this movie. The characters were so stupid, and like, oh my god, it's no, I absolutely terrible. Like, if the original is anything like this, I also would have probably hated it. But like, this remake is god awful, like so mega god awful. Like, oh my god. Then we have Adam Lincoln Vampire Hunter, which I know that movie is supposed to be stupid, but for me it was just absolutely garbage. Like, not even like turn your mind off stupid. Like, this was just stupid, like totally, and like, no, it's about Adam Lincoln and he is a vampire hunter. It's literally the most obvious thing. It's in the title, but the way it's just garbage is unbelievable, and yeah, I hated it. Then we have the film adaptation of Twins by Derek White, which is actually not called Twins but Coxless Pair for some reason, and I also gave it 1 star. I still think it's less terrible than the book, and if you want to know why the book is terrible, then please watch my video on it. It's right there on this YouTube channel. But basically, in the like pantheon of bad German television network movies, it's just not as much of a standout as the book is in the terrible book pantheon, because the book is like uniquely terrible, and this is just generically terrible. So I still hate it, but not as much as the book. Adam Sandler's last appearance on this list is I Pronounce You Chuck and Larry. I have recently heard that this movie in hindsight is not as bad as people thought. But at the time I saw it, absolutely hated it. Yeah, it's about this guy who basically like needs to marry his friend for some reason. I don't really remember why, because again, I watched this like a long time ago, but at the time I absolutely couldn't stand it. Yeah, maybe in hindsight it's not as homophobic as I thought of it back then, but also like, I don't really care. Like, I don't really want to rewatch it to find out. Then we have Equilibrium, which is this dystopian movie from, like, not even the dystopian movie craze, because this is not YA, but it's like from the early 2000s, and it's about this world where you technically cannot have emotion, but this movie just fails completely because everybody in this movie has emotion all the time, because if you didn't know, like, this main character is played by Christian Bale, and he's just the most angry dude on this planet, okay? He's constantly, like, punching people and being, like, angry and, like, argh! And, like, how is that not an emotion? Like, literally, I was sitting there watching that movie, that's an emotion, that's an emotion, that's an emotion, that's an emotion. Like, I'm sorry, but, like, honestly, I think it's, like, really difficult to even portray a world where emotion is not possible, because like, literally everything is kind of an emotion. Even the indifference these people are supposed to have would, for me, be technically an emotion. So this movie is stupid in concept and even worse in execution. And even the action scenes, for which the most people praise it for, that are fans of this or even that are not fans of this, I thought were pretty dull. And the color palette is just gray, which is in theme with the no emotions thing. But again, that doesn't really help because the no emotions thing isn't really effective at all. So yeah, absolutely hated that that one. Then we have Armageddon, which is the Bruce Willis asteroid movie that came out in the same year as another asteroid movie, and it's kind of weird like that because it's one of like the only movies that like came out in the same year as another high budget movie about the same concept, and like that happens a bunch of times, and I think that's weird and like cool in concept. But this movie is absolutely terrible. It's basically about Bruce Willis having to save the Earth from an asteroid, and I was rooting for the asteroid. Okay, Bruce Willis is such a terrible character. Okay, like all of these men that fly up there are so damn unlikable. Like, oh my god, I don't care if all life on planet Earth gets wiped out. I don't want to be saved by these people. I hated them so much. Like, I know that this is like a cult classic, but I hated it. And the last movie on this list, and probably the most undeserving one, is West Side Story, the original from like the 60s. And I have vitriol for this movie, but only because I had to watch it in school. It's basically like a modern day, in air quotes, retelling of Romeo and Juliet about these gangs in New York, maybe, I think. And yeah, I only have vitriol for this because we had to watch it in music class. And if you didn't know, and why would you? My teacher basically restarted the movie like 5 times because he just couldn't remember where we were at, and even if we told him, he just like didn't. So I had to watch this movie so often, and like that's why I hate it. Okay, so yeah, maybe if I would rewatch it I would appreciate it, but like I also don't really like musicals, so maybe I didn't. But I think it's not objectively like not half a star, but for the experience I had with it, that was a half-star movie. And yeah, that was all the 21 movies I ever rated half a star. I hope that this list isn't growing too much anytime soon. But yeah, tell me what you thought of this video. I am very sorry that it's just a low effort list like that, but I just canceled a semi-scripted bigger project that I wanted to do, and I'm still currently actively going through a heat wave, so I really just can't put my mind to things and just needed something to put out there. So yeah, I'm sorry for producing slop, I guess, but at least it's human made, so yeah, who cares? And anyway, I hope I'll see you again with a more high effort thing. I am probably going to put up my wrap up of the last 3 months of reading, because I always do it like in a quarterly section next. And yeah, if you want to see that, then subscribe. And yeah, I hope to see you in another one. Bye!